I gotta ask you a question because
Yes,
I
sir.
watched one of your
Just
recent
one?
YouTube, well, a few
Just
more,
one
but
question?
a few more. I don't want to keep you too long, but a few more. I mean, I could talk
No,
for
it's fine.
hours,
It's great.
but I watched one of your videos recently on YouTube, and you went through the process of your amputation, and it was just amazing to see you go through that, and to see this perspective you had at the end, and to see you go through this. And I was watching it from afar, and I kind of watched it in real time as well, and I was wondering if you could walk people through, like, I don't know what happened, and how do you deal with something like that, and how do you come out the other side and still be like you are right now, positive, and I'm still going to travel the world, because that would devastate a lot of people. So I don't know. Can you walk me
Yeah.
through that?
Yeah. Sorry, I still get emotional over it.
Yeah, I appreciate you talking about it.
So even when I was there with you, I was in tremendous pain. It started about 3 years ago, and um, I being a high level elite athlete, I think sometimes it's a double-edged sword because we're used to going through hell and pain and obstacles. On the other end, we're used to persevering. So the pain that I was going through, I just kept shoving it off. Oh, I must have tore a muscle. Oh, I strained something. And it started getting worse. And it was to the point where I remember I was in going to China 2 years ago. Um, and I could take like maybe 30 steps and I would just crumble to the ground. And the pain was just so crazy. And I remember thinking, like, I just had an epiphany. I was like, you know, it's just going to be bad, and I literally, and I'm talking about myself, no one else. And I said, wow, I'm going to be a cripple for the rest of my life. And, and I kept walking. And I was literally, I'm very much a control freak. I hate it about myself, but I'm a control freak. And the bad thing about that, the more I try to control things, the more I understand that I can't, which makes me try harder. So
Right.
I'm trying to walk without showing any weakness through this airport, all these different international airports, and I can't help it, but I'm sobbing because the pain was so great. So anyway, I come back home, I go back in the gym, and I'm training. And finally, I just like, I go to my doctor and I said, something's going on. So he writes me some prescriptions to go have, X-rays done and MRIs and all of that. And it all came back negative. And I'm like, okay. And so I'm like, all right, it's just I must have tore something or strained something, or I'm just getting old, and this is the aches and pains of being old. And as it continued to progress, I'm like, I'm no idiot. I know what pain is. I know when I've done something. This is something worse. So I called my doctor back again and I said, hey, we need to do something more aggressive. This is BS, So sent me to this other doctor. And it's really scary because you start to understand how much doctors don't know shit. And it's
Right.
just, I hate to cuss about it, but I literally lost my legs because they didn't act fast enough. So
Wow.
anyway, I go to this other doctor, and he looks at all my results from my MRIs and X-rays, and he goes, "Oh, you tore this muscle in your foot that's normal for runners. It happens all the time, and that's the reason why it's happening." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "That doesn't make no damn sense, man." And he writes me a prescription for some crap, and I'm like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." And I just go back to training. I'm still traveling the world, and I'm in Brazil, and I hate showing weakness in front of people, and I'm literally having to sob as I'm walking. So I come back, and I'm really upset. Not at my doctor, but I'm really pissed. And he finally says, "Okay, go to the emergency room." I go to the emergency room here in Las Vegas, and it's one of the quote unquote highest level premier hospitals that we have to offer here in Las Vegas, Nevada. They put a boot on my leg and tell me that I sprained something in my calf. They literally put a black boot on my leg so I couldn't walk. And I'm looking at them like, okay, you guys know more than I do, so okay. And I wear the boot, and I still had this pain. It's now the pain radiates through my right leg regardless, just 24 hours a day, whether I'm walking or not, it's at the same level. And I'm getting ready to go to Australia now. As for the Arnold Classic Australia. Um, and I call my doctor and I'm really pissed now and I'm cussing, not at him, we're close. And I'm cussing like, this is BS, man, blah, blah, blah. We need to find what the F just is going on. So he goes, Flex, we've done everything. Let's try an ultrasound. I'm like, whatever, man. Let's whatever, you know, go and have the ultrasound done. And within 5 minutes, she just goes silent and she just stops and she's staring at me. And her eyes start to welt up in tears. And she goes, do you have a stent in your leg? I'm like, no, I don't have a stent in my leg. She goes, are you sure? And I go, yeah, I'm sure. And, her voice is quivering. And I said, what is it that you see? I'm a very emotional person. So I start crying. I go, what is it that you see? And she goes, nothing, nothing. Let me just continue because I can't discuss these things with you. I'm going to finish my job and I'm going to turn the results in. And, they're going to let you know, they're going to read the results. So she continues. And as she started in my groin area. And as she got down to my calf, she just stopped again. And she looked at me, she goes, are you sure you don't have a stent or anything in your leg? I go, no, ma'am, I'm sure I have a stent in my groin for my left leg to my right leg due to my kidney surgery. I lost the main artery in my right leg. So they put a graft from my left leg to my right leg. So literally, even now, my right leg feeds my left leg blood, or else I would have lost it, 17 years ago in my kidney transplant. So I go, I have a stent there, but I graft there, but I don't have one in my calf. And she goes silent again, and just she's really quiet, and tears are coming down her eyes. So I'm like, God, please tell me, what in the world do you see that's causing you to respond like this? And she just looks at me. She goes, either you have a stent or a graft in your calf, or I'm looking at the biggest blood clot I've ever seen in my life.
Wow. Wow.
And I just lose it. And she loses it. And she goes, I'm going to stop here. I got to call the Senstat. You got to stay right here. Let me go to the doctor. We need to notify them immediately. So I lay there for like 30 minutes and they say, okay, that we're going to release you. Your doctor's aware of it. He's going to be contacting you with the next move. So I'm driving home like Tom Cruise in a Vanilla Sky, just like I'm there, but I'm not there. And I pull up in my driveway and my doctor called me and he goes, where are you? Very urgent voice. I'm like, I'm in my car, man. I just pulled into my garage. And he goes, Jesus, I'm shocked you even made it home, Flex. I'm like, okay, enough. What's going on, man? Tell me what the is going on. He's like, Flex, you have a blood clot. I'm like, okay. He goes, no, you don't understand. You have a life-threatening blood clot. You need to get down here. I'm going to put you on blood thinners immediately, and hopefully that can, break the blood clot up. And I'm like, Doc, I'm flying out of here in less than 74 hours. And he goes, where are you going? I go, I'm going to Australia. And he goes, listen, don't get on that flight. I go, no, you don't understand. You don't understand. My ticket, and not being arrogant, or I'm just being honest, my ticket is first class to Australia. We're talking a little over $12,000. They already paid that. They already paid me half of my fee. If I don't show up, I'm getting my ass sued.